And welcome back. As we get ready to dive into our next lesson, today we're going to use our camera to go ahead and get ready to kind of follow our sprite around. And we're going to use a little new tool called Cinemachine to help us do that. So what does that Cinemachine do? How do we actually use this tool to enable that camera to kind of follow the player around? Because this is a little different than the last game, because even though we had it kind of following our character, we want to use this in a little different context. Because Cinemachine is a very powerful tool within Unity. It's a package that actually exists that allows us to use multiple cameras, and then we can also apply different rules to those cameras. And just kind of give you an idea of how that works, Cinemachine is this little piece of software that works here behind the scenes, and of course we have our main camera that is going to be our one that we're kind of used to operating with, but then we have these virtual cameras that are going to exist within the game that are going to effectively allow us to get different shots or different angles, kind of give them more of a cinematic approach, or maybe more of a thing you might use for like a cutscene. So this is a tool that's going to give us a lot more flexibility than relying on a single camera. So let's go ahead and hop into Unity and get ready to add that Cinemachines into our packages here. Now packages, actually, if you look here, these are the list of all the packages that Unity comes with, and these are ones that are kind of pre-made that you don't have to do anything finagling with. But if you notice, there is nothing in here that says Cinemachine, so we need to add this as a package to our project. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump up here to the top and go to Window, and I'm going to my Package Manager. And in here, you'll see a list of all the different packages that are currently in project. You'll see it says packages in project, but we're going to click that drop down and go ahead and change it to the Unity registry. And when I do that, you'll see that it changes to a bunch of different things that are available to us. And there's a ton of different options that are available. But the one we're looking for is Cinemachine. And it's saying I made some changes here to something, so I'm just going to discard that. And there is the Cinemachine, and let's go ahead and install that into our package. And once that is installed, and just give it a second for it to do its thing, it's going to go ahead and load everything that it needs into Unity. So any scripts or any corresponding packages, pieces that it's going to need, you'll see that it automatically brings all that stuff on over for us, which is pretty nice, because then we don't have to worry about accidentally messing anything up or finding something that doesn't exist or work anymore properly within Unity. And just wait for Unity to finish reloading, and you'll see once it is successful, you'll see the install has now changed to remove, so I can go ahead and close the package manager. And now I'm ready to go ahead and start putting Cinemachine to work. So to actually get that camera in play here, let's go ahead and do our scene, and I'm going to right click. And we notice we now have below camera an option for Cinemachine. And we have a bunch of different options in here. The one we want right now is a virtual camera. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that, and you notice as I do it, you see there's a new icon here next to my main camera. That's great. I'm just going to go ahead though, and just while this is open, I'm going to rename this to just VC and maybe follow, just so that I know that that is a following one for the player. And I'm going to go ahead and look at this real quick to show you this icon, what it means. You'll notice under the camera, there's now this new thing called Cinemachine Brain, which is of course that kind of virtual piece that is going to coordinate between the other cameras if we had more in here. All right. So let's pop back over to here. Again, most of these things in the main camera we don't need to worry about, because most of what we're going to worry about is going to be here within this following camera. All right, so in here in our nice new follow camera, we have a couple of different options in here. The first thing I want to do is I want to go to here with my body, and of course I can open all these up to see all the different things I can really kind of customize in here. But under the body, you see we have transposer, and we have a bunch of different options in here. All right, and of course we can play around with those to try and find the one, what do we really want this to be? Well, we want this to be a framing transposer, because if you think about it, we want this to frame around our player object here. And I might have to adjust where this is starting here, because it looks like my camera is kind of starting a little too far back here, and so I can of course always adjust that a little bit. I can just move that over just a little bit there to start. And what I want to do is tell this game, what do I want you to track? What do I want you to kind of follow as you're moving through this world? And we look at our follow right now, it's set to none, so I can just click this little circle here. And since we only have this little ball sprite here, I'm going to go ahead and just click on the ball, double click that, and you can see now the ball is now added as an option. And again, we can have that work very, very easily by clicking play. And when I do that, you'll see that as the game moves, the camera is following that ball all throughout the scene here. Excellent. So we of course now have a very easy setup. Now one thing you'll notice is that when we ran this, the ball is kind of always kind of like here in the center of our picture. And well, that's fine just for this demonstration purposes. When we get to the gameplay, we're not going to want that ball to really be right here. We're going to want that to be in a much kind of different spot. So what we want to do is actually open up our body here. And we have the screen X, screen Y. And we can actually adjust this to say, where do we want this to actually start? And so if I actually move this over, I can find a value that is most appropriate. Since I'm probably going to be moving to the right, I want to frame this appropriately so that I can have a adequate viewing run here of where this is going to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that right there. And if we go ahead and press play now, so I'm at 0.17, and you'll see that the ball is still here in this corner of the frame. Even though everything is still moving, it is now stuck in that corner there. Pretty neat. Alright, so we have a very nice setup now for our game. This works very, very well. The only other things that we could do now is if you want to go ahead and just test around these settings, you can. Otherwise, we are set to go ahead and get ready to do the next bit of our gameplay here.